Take a look at what the definition of mediation is. It's a voluntary process. It is non-binding. In a mediation, the parties engage the services of a third party called a mediator. The mediator's job is to help the parties reach a settlement of their dispute. But at the end of the day, if a settlement has not been reached, the mediator has no authority to issue a decision. It's a very flexible process, and it's often less expensive. There may be some variations on how people define mediation, but these terms listed here are those that make up the core understanding of the process. Because of its flexibility and because it can be used at different points in the life of a dispute, it is an extremely popular form of ADR. Let's take a minute and look at the ADR continuum to see where it falls. It's in the middle. It is more structured. It does involve a third party, but it still gives the parties a lot of control on the decision-making aspect of resolving their dispute. Sometimes mediation gets mixed up with the process of facilitation, and there is definitely some overlap between these two. Facilitation, though, involves neutral third parties who do work with the disputing parties to come up with a solution, but facilitators are more process-focused. They rarely get into helping the parties with creative solution development and the real substance of the merits. So if a party uses the term facilitation instead of mediation, it's not completely wrong, but as you get into actually filing a case, more parties file cases for mediation. Facilitation is used more often in meeting structures and some other contexts. But again, there's overlap there, and that's where it's reasonable that there might be different definitions between those two. But where there is some confusion and a definite distinction is between arbitration and mediation. They are completely separate procedures. Arbitration can be non-binding, but in general terms, most people think of it as a binding process. In arbitration, parties use a third party or perhaps a panel of 3 third parties, and the role of arbitrators is to hear evidence, to listen to witnesses, to review documents, and issue a decision called an award. Arbitrators do not help the parties try to settle. It is not a setting where there are open discussions and review of options. The parties have a dispute, each side puts in their case, and the arbitrator issues a binding decision. So arbitration should not be confused with mediation. And finally, it's important to understand that mediation is a very popular dispute resolution process in construction. Most of the standard form construction contracts require mediation at some point in the multi-step dispute resolution process. Later in the course, we'll get into more detail at looking at these project documents, but know that mediation has been embraced by all of the national industry groups as a very effective tool for resolving construction disputes.